What's up, football fans? Buckle up, because today we got a lot to talk about coming out of Los Angeles. And no, it's not just the usual hype around quarterbacks, wide receivers, and the next explosive piece to light up the scoreboard. While the offensive game plan often dominates headlines, the latest buzz has shifted, just slightly, but significantly, towards the defensive side of the ball. With the NFL draft fast approaching, the energy is building, and some very intriguing reports are beginning to emerge. The franchise seems laser-focused on improving their roster, and although the offense remains a priority, there's growing optimism that defense is finally getting the respect and attention it deserves. And that brings us to a name that's been gaining traction lately, Kenneth Grant. Now, for those who follow college football closely, this won't come as a surprise. But for the casual fan, this might be the first time you're hearing it. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, is making noise. Not just because he's a physical specimen, not just because of the potential he brings to the trenches, but because he fits into a vision that this franchise has been quietly constructing. One recent article even hinted that he could be a legitimate first-round option for Los Angeles. And that's not something to brush off, especially when there's a connection between Grant and another Michigan standout who's already on the team. Chemistry matters. Shared systems matter. And the idea of building a defensive front with guys who already know each other's rhythm, that's gold. We all know that Los Angeles has long had a reputation for explosive offenses and highlight reel plays, but real success in this league, consistent, championship-level success, comes from the trenches. That's where games are won and lost. The front office knows that, and it's clear that they haven't forgotten the importance of controlling the line of scrimmage. Whether it's stopping the run or collapsing the pocket, adding someone like Kenneth Grant would send a strong message that the team is serious about rebalancing its strengths. If they pass on offensive line help early, don't be shocked if a guy like Grant ends up wearing that jersey on draft night. Historically, this franchise has made it a point to build strong cores up the middle. Nose tackles, linebackers, safeties who can thump. It's all about physicality and discipline. And when you're looking at the upcoming draft class, there are two names that stand out on the defensive side. Kenneth Grant, and a player from Ohio State who's also been drawing attention for his ability to plug up lanes and anchor against the run. Both of them would make a ton of sense for a team that's trying to get more rugged and more reliable on defense. Choosing the best defensive player available is a strategy that often pays off, and in this case, it aligns with the team's identity and long-term needs. The exciting part? We're hearing more and more about a potential mock draft that leans heavily into defense. And that's not something we've seen in a while. For weeks, months even, the spotlight's been shining brightly on offensive targets, receivers, tight ends, explosive backs. But now there's a sense that maybe the front office is realizing that you can't just outscore your problems. You got to stop someone too. And Kenneth Grant's film? It's the kind of stuff that gets scouts leaning forward in their chairs. He's got this mix of power and surprising agility that makes you pause the tape and run it back. When you see a guy that's size moving like that, chasing down ball carriers, spinning off blocks, it's hard not to get excited. There's one play in particular that stands out. It looked like the offensive line had him swallowed up, but then out of nowhere he spins, sheds a double team, and tracks a running back down the line. I mean, how many guys his size can do that? Sure, there are moments when he gets pushed around, especially by more technically sound centers. One rep against a Texas lineman comes to mind where he gets washed out of the play entirely. But when he hits his stride, he's a difference maker. And let's not forget that he's still developing. He's got room to grow in terms of hand placement and leverage, but the raw tools, they're absolutely there. Against USC, he flashed again, this time chasing a running back across the formation and bringing him down from behind. That kind of hustle speaks volumes about his motor. You don't always see that from interior defensive linemen. And when you do, it makes you think about what kind of ceiling a player like this could have in a structured pro-level defensive scheme. It's one thing to have size and strength, but when you mix that with awareness and effort, you're cooking with gas. Now let's talk about draft capital. Los Angeles isn't hurting when it comes to picks. They got the flexibility to make aggressive moves, fill glaring needs, or swing for upside. And that makes the prospect of going defense early not just possible, but maybe even likely. They could load up on linebackers, edge rushers, defensive backs. All of it's on the table. There's talk of grabbing a corner, a guard, maybe even a safety, depending on how the board falls. But if Kenneth Grant is still sitting there at pick number 22, and you've got a chance to plug him right into the rotation, that's the kind of move that shifts the tone of your whole draft. And sure, we've seen some names come off the board already. An edge rusher here, a cornerback there, even a guard, which might have surprised some people. But the defensive depth in this class, it's deeper than folks realize. There's a safety floating around who might not be the flashiest name, but he plays with a high IQ and good range. Another interior lineman who might not have Grant's burst, but brings his own style of disruption. The point is, if Los Angeles wants to invest in defense, they've got the assets and the options to do it right. And that's exactly what we're going to do in our next mock draft. Shift the spotlight, focus exclusively on the defensive side of the ball, and see how things might play out if every pick went toward building a tougher, faster, smarter unit on that side. It's easy to get swept up in the highlight reel potential of offensive players, but let's not forget, defense still wins championships. And if the team wants to return to true contender status, they'll need guys like Kenneth Grant setting the tone up front. Now, let's flip the script. After putting all that energy into analyzing the defensive side of things, it's time to look at the offense. Because let's be real here, no matter how good your defense is, you still need to move the chains, score touchdowns, and put pressure on the other team to keep up. That's where this team has been lacking consistency, and it's why there's such a strong case for going all in on offense in this year's draft. So what happens if the front office says, you know what? Let's just load up. Let's take the best offensive talent available every single round and build something dangerous. That's the idea behind this offensive-only mock draft. And let me tell you, the results are just as exciting. One name that absolutely jumps off the board is Matthew Golden. The fact that he's still available at pick number 22 is wild. This guy, to me, is the most complete wide receiver in the entire draft class. He runs precise routes, has reliable hands, and knows how to create separation. He's not just fast, he's smooth. There's a difference. You watch him on tape, and it's like he's gliding, always a step ahead of the coverage. It's rare to see a young receiver with that level of polish already in his game. Bringing in someone like Matthew Golden could instantly elevate this offense and give the quarterback a go-to weapon who can make plays all over the field. But the offense isn't just about flashy wideouts. You've also got to think about the trenches. Protection, power, push. That's where guys like Seth McLaughlin come into the picture. Playing center is one of the most mentally demanding positions in football. You're the anchor, the guy making the protection calls, reading the defense pre-snap, keeping everything stable. And McLaughlin is that type of player. He might not blow people away with raw athleticism, but he's smart, he's experienced, and he plays with an edge. If you're trying to build a foundation for a young offense, that's a guy you want snapping the ball. Then there's Elijah Arroyo. We've talked about him before, and we're going to keep talking about him because he's that good. As a tight end, he brings a unique blend of athleticism and versatility. He's not just a security blanket. He's a matchup nightmare. Too fast for most linebackers, too strong for most safeties. You line him up in the slot, in line, out wide, wherever you want, and he finds a way to impact the game. His blocking still needs work, no doubt, but his upside as a receiver is massive. He's the kind of tight end who could become a central piece in a modern offensive scheme. Another name that caught our attention in this offensive mock draft is Damon Martinez out of Miami. Now, this is a bit of a wild card. He's not the most talked about prospect, and he's not the flashiest, but there's something about his game that just works. He runs with purpose. He reads blocks well, keeps his legs moving through contact, and brings that grinder mentality to every rep. He might not be the kind of player who turns heads at the combine, but once the pads go on, he delivers. Sometimes, that's exactly what you need, someone who just gets the job done. And this is where it gets fun, because when you start building out the offense this way, you realize just how many different directions the team can go. Do they double down on wide receivers and create a nightmare scenario for opposing secondaries? Do they build a rock-solid offensive line that gives the quarterback time and opens up the running game? Do they try to find that one running back who can carry the load and take pressure off the passing attack? The options are there. And when you're working with multiple picks, there's real potential to reshape this entire unit in one draft. Let's go back to Matthew Golden for a second. If we're talking pure talent and impact, he gets an A+ without question. He's a guy who could walk into the building and immediately compete for a starting job. He's got that blend of confidence and humility, that quiet swagger that you see in the great ones. The moment feels big, but not too big. It just feels right. As for Elijah Arroyo, I'd give him a solid B+ right now, with room to grow into an A. He's got all the tools, and with the right coaching, he could become one of the most dangerous tight ends in the league. Damon Martinez? Maybe a B-. He's got limitations, sure, but he brings value, especially if you use him in the right situations. And even though this mock draft focuses entirely on offense, I'm not going to sit here and pretend the defense doesn't still need help. It absolutely does. That's the challenge when you're trying to build a balanced roster. There are always trade-offs. You can't fix everything in one offseason, but what you can do is commit to an identity. If this team chooses to go all out on offense, then lean into it. Build a unit that puts up points, creates mismatches, and forces opponents to play catch-up every week. There's power in that. There's strategy in that. And with the right pieces, it can absolutely work. Of course, some fans might worry that ignoring defense entirely is risky. And yeah, it is. But the truth is, this offense has lacked spark. It's lacked consistency. It's lacked explosiveness. And if you can find those playmakers in the draft, you take them. You don't hesitate. You add weapons. You give your quarterback protection. You create a system that thrives on creativity and speed and tempo. And maybe, just maybe, you turn the entire narrative around. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how the actual draft plays out. There's always that one surprise, that one unexpected slide, that one team that reaches or trades up and shakes everything up. But if the board falls the right way, and these offensive names are still available when it's your turn to pick, that's the moment to strike. That's the moment to invest. And whether it's Matthew golden hauling in touchdowns, Elijah Arroyo breaking tackles after the catch, Damon Martinez grinding out tough yards, or Seth McLaughlin setting protections up front, each one of these guys brings something real to the table. Something that could change the trajectory of this team's future. So while the defense is important, and don't get me wrong, I love a hard-hitting, aggressive defense as much as anyone. This offense deserves love too. It deserves attention. And if this draft becomes the turning point where the team finally builds an offense that can hang with the best in the league, then every single pick will have been worth it. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Los Angeles Chargers. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a stunning twist that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, rumors are swirling that the Los Angeles Chargers are making a serious push to acquire none other than Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs superstar quarterback. The chatter began after a mysterious video surfaced online, showing Mahomes training in Los Angeles, leading fans and analysts to speculate whether a monumental move could be in the works. As one of the league's most successful and electrifying quarterbacks, Mahomes' potential departure from the Chiefs would mark one of the most dramatic shifts in recent NFL history. The idea of Mahomes joining the Chargers seems improbable at first glance, given his monumental contract with the Chiefs. In 2020, Mahomes signed a 10-year deal worth nearly $500 million, making it one of the largest contracts in sports history. But sources close to the Chargers suggest that the team's ownership is willing to go all in to bring the game-changing quarterback to Los Angeles. With a roster full of talent, including Justin Herbert, the Chargers are reportedly willing to shake up the future of the franchise for the opportunity to build around Mahomes, whose performances have earned him 2 Super Bowl MVPs and an unrivaled list of accolades. Why would Mahomes leave the Chiefs, though? After all, he has already led Kansas City to 3 Super Bowl victories and has become a legend in his own right. But as the Chiefs aim for a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl title in 2024, whispers of dissatisfaction with the team's current roster have surfaced. Some insiders believe that Mahomes, who is used to winning, may be seeking a fresh challenge, a new environment that could offer him even more control of the team's destiny. For the Chargers, this is not just about securing a top-tier quarterback. It's a chance to propel the franchise into the NFL's elite tier. With Mahomes, the Chargers would immediately become one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC. With a quarterback who's known for his ability to perform under pressure, his powerful arm, and his knack for making impossible throws. Additionally, Mahomes' presence would not only elevate the Chargers' offensive play, but also draw massive attention to the team in one of the most lucrative markets in sports. As the NFL offseason heats up, one question remains. Is this a mere rumor, or could this jaw-dropping trade be closer to reality than we think? Fans, analysts, and even rival teams are holding their breath, waiting for any further developments. Whatever the outcome, one thing is for sure. The NFL world is about to be rocked by a move of epic proportions. Stay tuned as this story unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Los Angeles Chargers, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.